Welcome to another podcast from the Vin Man and the Vin Van. Today I have an excerpt from my audio journal about how I got enlightened this summer in the mountains of Virginia. Well, today's day 10 of the 10-day retreat. I'm just having some breakfast and I wanted to share the experience that I had probably 3 nights ago. I've been eating light and reading sacred literature and spiritual teachings, and it was feeling kind of ripe, ready to harvest. So I figured, well, I'm going to sit out tonight and sit up by the creek and meditate. I'm just going to meditate so hard and so long that I'll burn off a bunch of stuff that needs to be burned off and become pure and holier, and maybe I'll be enlightened tonight. Well, I was, but not the way I expected. So I set out my little pad and then put my little sitz pillow, this nice little velvet pillow filled with some kind of rice hulls, and had my candle, and it's dark now, and right by the creek, a little fall of water, and had my recorder so I could play some music, and my singing bowl, and my headlamp so that I could find my way there and back, and my little thing of water in case I got thirsty during my long meditation night towards enlightenment. So I got in, I played a little flute, sat down, got my butt just right on my pillow, got the candle set just right, staring at the candle, listening to the water, bang on my bowl a couple times to get me in the mood, and take a deep breath in and start to meditate. I've been meditating a lot for the past days, so I was falling into a meditative state pretty quick, but I was into it about 5 minutes, and here on the tarp, chink, tink, tink, tink. Tarp's on the van. Over the van gives me a little porch, and it's about 3 or 4 feet behind me. Chink, tink, 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 tink. The telltale signs of water starting to drip from the sky. And I'm like, oh, it's going to rain. But by gosh, all the serious spiritual seekers, they mortify the flesh, and they detach from the physical world so that they can get closer to the spiritual world, and by God, so will I. So I'm sitting there, and the water's coming down on me a little bit, and it's raining, just a little drizzle, and of course I've got the best camping gear that I can afford, which is nylon this and synthetic that dries fast and keeps you warm even when it's wet. So wool socks. So I'm like, it's only about 62 or 3 degrees, so it's not like it's freezing cold. And by God, I'm a spiritual seeker, so I'll just sit here and detach from this physical world and move towards the spiritual. So I'm doing that, and then it's starting to rain a little harder. And I'm impressed by how well my Patagonia Dry Climb wind shirt resists water. Not waterproof, but water resistance. But the water's dripping on it, and boy, I'm on the path now. And it starts raining harder. Then it starts raining pretty hard. And my hat, which is a concession to vanity, it's a cool boonie hat, but it's cotton, and in the woods cotton kills, because as soon as cotton gets wet, it loses all of its insulating value. So my boonie hat's getting wet, and so I'm thinking all this stuff. Well, that's okay, because I'm a spiritual seeker, and it's raining harder, and now the water's starting to soak through everything, so now I'm getting soaking wet. And when it started out in the 60s, the temperature's starting to drop because the front's coming through, and I guess it's down upper 50s. And by God, my camping gear is it's okay. I'm getting a little chilly, but it's like, hey, if you're going to be a spiritual seeker, you got to put up with a little bit of discomfort. Well, anyway, I get soaked to the bone. I sat through most of the rainstorm. It was just drizzling at the end there when the wind picked up, the little breeze picks up, and so now, of course, the breeze is evaporating all this moisture off my clothes and my body and my head and my hat, and the temperature's getting a little lower. So I'm getting pretty uncomfortable now. And it's like, wow, what if I just sit out here and get like pneumonia or something, or bad bronchitis? What if I get really sick? I mean, what's the point of being spiritually enlightened if you're going to get really sick? I mean, I don't want to, die before I get enlightened, or before I, achieve my sacred goals of self-awareness and unification with God and the universe. So the end of the story, as you may have guessed, is I didn't stick it out very long, and it's like, fuck enlightenment. I'm wet and cold. So I jumped in the van and stripped off all my wet clothes and dried myself off and ate a bunch of vitamin C so I wouldn't get sick, and jumped under my nice warm down sleeping bag and got all nice and cozy and toasty, and I realized, geez, I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy who sits and gives up everything for the pursuit of enlightenment, unity, God, awareness, which was and is a real disappointment, because I always like to think of myself as being that guy. And I was like, wow, I mean, this was a 15-minute rainstorm. And I'm out of my wet clothes and into the bed, So that was enlightening right there. And I've enjoyed that realization. It's relieved me of a certain burden or sense of obligation that I need to do something valuable with this life. If nothing else, I need to plummet for whatever enlightenment and understanding I can get. And I got some enlightenment and understanding, and was very thankful for that, and didn't catch a cold.
Thank you for listening to another podcast from the Vin Man and the Vin Van. Until next time, be well and happy.